Hello again, thank you for joining in on my 365-day note writing journey. Welcome, my name is Anna Delman and today is day number 300 and my note for today is a red flag warning. Cautions are essential for when we do not have a close circle, a transparent and like-minded in the faith friend to walk through this particular kind of trial with, and I'm referring to church struggles. However, that is also true beyond just church struggles. It's true of life in general and the ups and downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly that we all want camaraderie and fellowship through. So when you are dealing with the fallout of a difficult church divorce where you've broken away from a church and you are in a place in life where you don't have that kind of community around you like you've had previously in your life. You are in a season where you don't. What do you need to do? The Bible does have cautions for us and does have ways for us to respond. Sometimes it's hard, it truly is, because you have been offended. However, if the offense is against, although it's done to us, it is truly an offense against God because it is exposing a lack in others. It's a fine line there, but it is real and it's reality, and that is how life is. That when people do something bad to us, or they do it and they truly don't even understand why or how they were influenced incorrectly to take those positions, they of course allowed themselves to be manipulated. They allowed themselves to be gaslit. They allowed themselves to be caught up in it, and they truly are accountable for that. But yet they weren't aware of the full extent. Even so, one can excuse them, but one doesn't really have to excuse them. I'm not trying to be wishy-washy there, friends, because if you've been through something similar, you will know the gracious response is they didn't know, or they weren't aware of the depth of deceit they were participating in. That's the gracious thing to do. Sometimes I don't always want to be gracious, and sometimes, friends, I don't want to be gracious at all. I need to grow as far as that is concerned. So I have read to you my note for day 300, and I want to read a couple of scriptures to encourage you if you are in similar situations or you want to share with somebody else, to encourage somebody else whom you know is in similar. So let's look at Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 through 12. I'm reading from the English Standard Version. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie together, they keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, 2 will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. That just goes to show the imperative nature of us as humanity, our weaknesses. When you are alone, unless you are prepared, you are expecting to be alone, or if you find yourself in that kind of a situation, that you put up those rails, those safeguards for yourself to traverse along, so that you don't get caught up in falling off that narrow path. Narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way that leads to life, and there are few who find it, and few who stay on it. So let's look at 2 Timothy 2, verses 22 through 26, and this is why you need to be gracious, which is stinking hard, but here goes. So flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. I think that who call on the Lord with a pure heart, it needs to be like-minded people. So let me continue. Have nothing to do with foolish, ignorant controversies. You know that they breed quarrels. And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness, that God may perhaps grant them repentance, leading to a knowledge of the truth, and they may come to their senses and escape from the snare of the devil after being captured by him to do his will. So, friends, that's just the reality of the difficulties that we find ourselves caught up in during this life that we live. And you've got to have those parameters, you've got to have those boundaries, you've got to have those walls of protection, you've got to know yourself and your weaknesses, and don't put yourself in positions and places where you will be distracted from your most excellent faith and be caught up in those areas and fall off the narrow path. It is important. That's the caution. However, if you are recognizing you need those boundaries and you need the community, make sure you pursue it. Now, I did say that a day or two ago that although I do not have a church community where I am, I'm always on the lookout. If I'm walking somewhere and I hear people talking about the Lord, I listen to hear what they are saying. You can listen to their conversations sometimes to discern what their words are truly saying about who they are, if they are truly Christians or just using Christianese. I also Google and look for churches all the time in this environment. And when I'm out and about and I hear a gathering, I go and inquire. For instance, where I live, there are a couple of churches in the neighborhood. Not one of them is a true Christian church, although they would think they are. But then it's actually heartbreaking. For instance, for the last weekend and again today, it is Saturday, late in the afternoon, it's my evening time that I'm recording this. I've just had a busy day. But late afternoon, early evening, I heard singing for the second week in a row from across the street. Now, there is a business across the street from us. We live in an area that is zoned for business and residential. So there is a business across the road. Obviously, the business operates Monday through Friday. And as I said, the second week, there is Christian singing going on. And I listened to the lyrics, and it's so sweet to hear. So I went across and I asked if it was a church gathering. The first person said to me, "No, this is a private party." And I thought, okay, wonderful, not a problem. And then I saw somebody else walking towards me, and I said, "Can you answer my question? Is this a church gathering?" And she nodded. And I said, "Oh, wonderful. What church is it?" And she mentioned it. Well, it's not a Christian church. And then another young man came up to me and said, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Oh, no, not at all. I just live across the street, and I heard the singing, and it was beautiful, and I wanted to merely inquire what it was about, because I'm just a curious person by nature." And so sad, but I'm always on the lookout. And then when I got back home across the street, and I walked back home, and as I sat down and thought about it, what delightful young people they are. Lovely, smiling, congenial, and I just adore them. And they're sitting through some kind of religious gathering, believing it is a Christ-focused church when it's not. That is so heartbreaking. Really, very heartbreaking. But that's the reality every nook and cranny of the world. And that goes to show why we need to take our faith so seriously, and why when there are disruptions in a church, it is so sad, because it is a distraction to the testimony of God. For instance, if anybody from the church that I tried to work with when I first arrived back here, if any of them came up to speak to me, I don't know how I would respond, seeing that they were told not to speak to me, seeing that they were told that I'm a problem and the church needed to be protected from me. lo and behold, nobody asked who those people were saying that to me. The church needed protection from them. Not that I'm perfect, I'm an imperfect person. But like I described yesterday, kings in a church environment where they want the accolades, they want the worship, they want the attention, they want to put down their platform, and they want their throne, and they want the attention, and they want the praise, because they believe this is what they're called to. But they're not. They've bankrupted businesses here, bankrupted businesses there. They have no leadership skills at all, but because they believe that they're men, that they are entitled to this. Friends, it bothers me deeply. So if they ever try to approach me, I don't trust them, because it's been so many years and they still have not even tried to pursue growth in their own lives, and they've left everything a mess. A vast mess, and the mess was so great at that time that it caused damage so far and so wide. But there again, 2 Timothy 2:22 through 26 does caution and exhort on what our heart responses should be. Could I respond in that way? Should I respond in that way? It's a conversation I need to continue having with myself. I hope that wherever you are, you have a wonderful community around you, and that God is blessing you. And if you don't, keep looking, keep venturing out there, reaching out to old Christian friends that you have, wonderful friends that God has blessed you with. You just need to make contact with them. So until tomorrow, take care and God bless, and we will talk again. Bye-bye for now.